Billiken fans, welcome back. I'm Zach Miller.
And I'm Peter Hale.
This is the Midtown Madness Podcast. Before we get going, thank you so much for listening. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Billiken fans, it is officially March, which means March Madness. And besides the basketball, nothing incites madness like running out of 2 Men in a Garden salsa. Make sure you're stocked up every week while you're at the grocery store. If you forget or you're out of town, you can head over to their website using the QR code at the bottom of the screen or link in the description. Enter code MMP at checkout and get all that salsa shipped to you for free. They are the St. Louis Salsa and Pickle Company. They bring you everything from mild to screaming hot salsas, hot mango, sugar-free. Plus, they have pickles from classic dill to smoky barbecue. Visit them online at twomeninthegarden.com or hit that QR code down below to shop your favorite flavors. And follow them on social media at 2 Men Salsa on Instagram, and we're still calling it Twitter for the latest updates. Pete, I don't know should we just get into baseball? Because not a lot of basketball this week.
Yeah, we're getting into the meat of the season in spring sports, Zach. I think that's all we got to cover, and it'll be a short episode, right?
What in God's name? We've gone through the what are we doing here? What in God's name is going on here, Pete?
Yeah, Zach, SLU fans have been on a bit of a wild ride over the past several days. I think we should be done, but maybe not. I think we'll have plenty to break down. I think we'll have a lot to talk about.
We're going to talk about it. Of course, the good. Josh Schertz's contract extension has been penned to ink. He is still our basketball coach. The bad news, there may yet be dominoes to fall. You've got rumors out of Arizona, out of Michigan. You've got the UNC job. There's dominoes there. Not saying he's gone. In fact, my attitude has gone on a complete 180 in the last 48 hours, which is absolutely insane. And like you said, we've been on a wild ride. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to do it right after this. Pete, this has been you're the pre-production staff on this show.
I am, Zach. Yes, and you do the post.
And this has been one of the most chaotic and ever-changing situations, and totally bizarre for that matter. And I had to reach out to people that I don't necessarily follow the sport the way they do, right? Like Rocchio. Like I saw his tweet and he's like trying to square the circle on this, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, Rocchio, is this weird? He's like, I don't know what's going on. I don't understand it. So I think it's fair for Billiken fans to be completely baffled, completely turned around by what happened. And I think there is, I think they're reasonable for some of the outpouring of just confusion, a little bit of frustration, a little bit of, anger, unfortunately, towards how everything went this weekend. But you had a hell of a time putting this show together.
I think we've seen a lot of sports reporters say over the years, this is why you don't write your post-game story during the game, right? Because a team can be up by 25 midway through the second half, and you're starting to okay, I'm going to hit my deadline early, and I'm going to be in bed before midnight. You could
have just said Duke UConn.
Exactly. That's the most prominent example right now, right? And then by the time the game ends, everything you've written is already obsolete. And that's how it was writing the notes this week, Zach, because I kind of had a structure for what this would look like. You and I had talked last week, okay, we're going to do a big season recap episode, thinking there wouldn't be too much, craziness in the headlines to get to. We knew there would be some moving parts, some things to talk about, but we didn't think it would be too crazy. And then as the week wore on, it was clear that the way that I had the notes structured for this episode just didn't apply anymore. It wouldn't have made any sense at all. And so I had to kind of throw it out and start over. And I think we should probably for anyone listening to this who didn't follow along with all the ups and downs, Josh Schertz is who we're talking about here and his contract situation, right? Because
before we get going, I think we need to shout out who's the coach, Rick Barnes at Tennessee, for giving us a small amount of reprieve here so that we can sit down and do this show and not once again have to change our notes.
Sure. That's
so thank you, Coach Barnes.
Any little help we can get, because as of right now, Zach, we're podcasting here. We're recording. It's 7 p.m. St. Louis time on Monday, March 30th. Josh Schertz is still the head coach at St. Louis University and appears to be locked in for next season. But our confidence level in his status has fluctuated wildly recently, right? So backing up a little bit, we found out right before the George Washington game in Pittsburgh for the A-10 tournament. I was driving in. I hadn't even gotten to Pittsburgh yet. That Schertz had agreed to a contract extension. It was later reported to be 6 years and about $20 million. And then later than that, we saw maybe 22, maybe 24, maybe some of those were negotiated up. So we were feeling pretty good, Zach. We kind of thought we're set. He signed a I think the wording at the time was he had agreed to it.
Yes.
But that's still, that's public. Yes. You have a high degree of confidence that our coaching situation is settled. If not for another year, then maybe another couple of years.
Yeah, I think I was still in the mindset that he has signed a contract, whether he had signed it or not signed it, people could still talk to him. He could still talk to other teams. But with the numbers thrown out, and we're going to get into it, I kind of thought it would be, a smaller pool. So Providence reaches out, right? At some point during the season. I believe the rumor is that he talked to Providence while he was in Rhode Island. I don't know if that's true. Don't really care anymore. Didn't like it at the time. Don't like it now, but whatever.
Yeah. Right.
He turns them down, right? I believe at that point, that's when they start. That after that was the initial extension, right?
Mm-hmm.
Late, like right before the conference tournament. Syracuse, while SLU is in Buffalo at the NCAA tournament, pursues Schertz after the Georgia win. So we have a contract extension. Billikens beat Georgia. The way things were talked out was that there was another meeting with Schertz and whoever, and they bumped up the NIL contribution, right? So at that point, you look at those schools, and you have to understand that Providence and Syracuse have already reached out and been turned down. From there, the Billikens go on and beat Michigan. Schertz is in the post-game talk against Michigan and says what?
Well, we lost to Michigan. Just
to
make sure. But yeah. So Schertz after the Michigan game.
I like to live in a fantasy world when I can.
I mean, if you were right, man, would this be a different show? People make the place. We've got an incredible situation at St. Louis, commitment level, alignment from the top down, facilities, infrastructure, incredible sports city where we've got pro sports like the Cardinals and Blues, but we're the only D1 team. But it comes down to people, alignment, and commitment. It gives you a chance to have sustainable success and put yourself in this position consistently, which ultimately, if you keep knocking on the door, eventually you knock it down. And that, Zach, is just music to my ears, right? The word sustained success, right? Like keep knocking on the door, knock it down, like just building and building and building where you are. It's what we've been saying for years. It can be done here. And then on Tuesday, Zach, we find out that he had signed the contract, right? And so he gives another quote after this when people are asking about him. And this one has a little bit different flavor to it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he says, you're in a terrible spot as a coach. If you say I'm 100% back and something changes and you're not, oh man, I lied. If you say I'm considering all these other jobs, then you're distracted. There's no right answer. So UNC opens up, and the wave for UNC is not necessarily the wave of fear for Billiken fans. But it was the domino effect, and it's always a domino effect with the coaching carousel. That's why they call it the coaching carousel. We didn't think like nobody. I don't think anybody in Billiken land thought UNC was going to go with Schertz. UNC is going to take their time. I think they're going to go out of the Roy Williams family, which is a little scary for us. But again, I think that job comes with a lot of baggage, right?
Mm-hmm. But it's a true blue blood program.
Yes.
And you can say what you will about their hiring practices and trying to keep it in the family, and they're successful enough and arrogant enough to do that and have been pretty successful with it, honestly. But that means to go outside, they're looking at the absolute pinnacle of who's out there, right? We all think Josh Schertz is a great coach and would be a great hire anywhere, but they're not thinking about a guy who's only been in D1 for 5 seasons and has one NCAA tournament appearance and win.
And I want to take that moment to kind of put a pin in that statement where UNC is not considering Josh Schertz. And I guess when we get around to the Arizona and the potential Michigan dominoes, I think we should put a pin and come back to that.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I do think that's a route we should explore as Billiken fans, is like, we're all kind of worried about those teams, right? Those are the two biggest dominoes. But again, if UNC did not think that Schertz was ready for prime time, Saturday Night Live, I don't know. Anyway, we'll come back to that. UNC was not the main threat. It was apparently the ultimate remember when I said all the scumbags end up in Rhode Island?
I do.
The ones who enjoy warmer weather go to Louisiana, apparently. Specifically Baton Rouge.
They have
with all due respect to my good friend who is an LSU fan.
They definitely have just said, we don't care what anyone else thinks of us. We're going to spend all the money in the world. We're going to hire people who might be ethically questionable, but who are undoubtedly good winning coaches. And they're just putting out middle fingers to the world, Zach. And it doesn't matter how much they have to spend or who they have to upset in the process.
No, and this one was North Carolina State. Will Wade is heading to LSU just 1 year after getting back to the Power Five with NC State from McNeese, who he came to from LSU. So the NC State job opens up, and NC State pursues Josh Schertz, despite the contract buyout. They also interviewed Tennessee assistant coach Justin Gainey, and they also interviewed Furman's head coach.
I believe so, yeah.
So at that point, that's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We wake up, not wake up, but mid-morning, we get kind of some surprising news.
Yeah. And that is the fact that Josh Schertz is one of their top priorities, and a representative from their side flew to St. Louis before then flying to Chicago to talk to Gainey, who was there with Tennessee in the regional up there. So flew into St. Louis, was on the ground for less than 3 hours, talked to Josh Schertz. And I believe, Zach, the guy on the plane was not their AD or anything. I think it was their top booster. Maybe it was the AD too. I don't know. I had heard it was the top booster. But regardless of who it was, NC State representative came to talk to Josh Schertz, and Schertz confirmed it.
Yeah, not kind of surprising because he had. So this all comes down really to a few moments in the media. And one of those pivotal moments was the morning after show on 11:20 now, or 101 ESPN now, I think. Friday, he goes on that show and discusses really openly about his job situation. And really, the vibe I get now, sitting here, hindsight being 2020, my guy just has a big mouth. Like I can understand that. I can sympathize. I can empathize. Whatever I need to thighs.
Yeah, yeah.
So I get it, Josh. Man, I love to talk too. I'll talk my way into many problems. I can't talk my way out of them to save my life. But
yeah, when you're in between agents, I never really know what you're going to say. You know,
that's what we need to discuss that, right? Yeah. That's a whole other part of the discussion.
So they had a good. It was about a 40-minute chat, and they hit on a number of subjects, and I listened to it, and it was great. I mean, if you're a SLU fan, you listened to that, and you were feeling pretty good after.
It was really like crack.
It was
like taking phenomenal. A nice hit of crack.
And so this is Friday. I'm listening to this. I listened to it on Friday afternoon, I guess, driving home and just getting some stuff done around the house. And he's talking about things like he reaffirmed that quote, right? Where like there's no right way to address this. And they said that was kind of refreshing. They liked his honesty, but he said, look, SLU's financial position is much improved if I ever leave based on the buyout, right? But he also said, that he wasn't working with an agent. He didn't get into details, but we know from other reporting that his agent was Brett Just, considered one of the top agents for college basketball coaches, but he's no longer with them.
Which the quote was, "I don't have an agent."
Correct.
And Josh, I love you. To me, that that comes off very much not like avoiding I feel like you got to say I no longer with an agent and not just I don't have an agent. That feels way too recent to say I don't use it. I don't have an agent, because I don't have an agent to me is a blanket statement. Like I don't use an agent. And
yeah, I think he just did not.
And I'm an overanalyzer too.
Yeah. But I think this is kind of in the same spirit as his quote about there's no right thing to say,
Correct.
Correct. It's like, I want to just kind of not box myself into paint myself into a corner. And that's really all it is. 'Cause you don't want to necessarily burn bridges with agents publicly, things like that. Right. So I think he was just trying to say, don't have an agent. They kind of inquired a little bit on that, and he didn't really get any further into it. But the other one of the other things he was talking about, Zach, that I thought was, probably the part that hit the hardest positively for me was about chasing sustained success versus chasing money. He said he passed up other jobs that pay more and considers himself a more of a builder than a climber. And
this was a beautiful line, and I love to hear it.
Yes.
But then.
Yes. Within 24 hours, we then find out about the NC State meeting. And to be fair, they flew to him.
Yes.
He didn't.
And I will.
He didn't get on a plane.
I will admit that I was a little testy, but I think I was measured in that I did say at some point in the Discord, or I said somewhere that a booster or somebody flying to them feels like a Hail Mary. It feels like you know what? You said no, but let us just come talk to you real quick. Mm-hmm. That's what that felt like to me. And he kind of alluded to it later, and we'll get to that because that was awesome. But it just where am I? I lost myself.
No, it's all right, because we're talking about, he says about being a builder versus a climber.
Yes.
And then immediately the next day we find out about NC State. Yes. And so the reaction all weekend from SLU fans is just all over the place, right? And speaking of, how Schertz doesn't want to burn any bridges or paint himself into a corner with things that he says, I'm kind of the same way. I don't want to get online and be like, you lied to us or anything like that. I don't want to scream and make a scene, But I think dropping maybe a little GIF here and there, going like, "What's happening?" Like kind of
Yeah.
like being a little bit like, all right, I was feeling pretty good and now I'm panicking. Why is that? I don't feel good. Like
Yeah.
I think is all fair game, right?
Yes. I think, look, like, I think it all stemmed from, I mean, I guess we can get into, we got that coming later. I think it's just, it really was you know, it's NC State. This isn't like that. This was the third team after, like, you had Syracuse and Providence. NC State is not something better than them. Like
No, I would kind of put
it's
those all
on
on the same
par.
level. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So you look at it, you're like, wait a minute,
Hmm.
what's going on here? Why
Well,
why are you now meeting with NC State if you're looking for an opportunity? Like, you want opportunity for success? Like, I don't see NC State as being a place that's has more opportunity than either Syracuse or Providence. So I think that's where some of my frustration came from.
so I think that's right, and because the way that he put it to the morning after guys was,
Yeah.
if there's a dream job that comes along, an NBA job, he used like the Miami Heat, I think was his example. And so that to me kind of says like, all right, if there's a really attractive NBA situation, I could see that being the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or if there's like a true blue blood that comes along, right? Which maybe is not going to happen for him right now. But if he has a couple more seasons like this one at SLU, I think he kind of shows them, I can win, I can program build, I can play a style that is fun and attractive for fans. Like a lot of those things that right now his track record might be a little bit short on, but at the D1 level, I should say. That's when those kind of opportunities arise. Like right now, we're saying UNC probably doesn't hire him, but I think people are worried about if UNC were to say pull Arizona or Michigan's coach
Yes.
away, are are
Yes.
are those programs?
Which
Even though
again,
right now they're the two best teams in the tournament, right
yes,
now, I mean, I consider them blue bloods, but they are, to be fair, not the brand that
it's
UNC or Duke or Kansas is or Kentucky.
it's like hiring Josh Schertz for Michigan or Arizona to me is like Nova hiring who's the guy that failed right before this?
Kyle Neptune.
Yeah, Kyle Neptune.
Hmm.
Like that to me, because Nova isn't necessarily a blue blood, right? Like true down and dirty blue blood, or I guess clean cut blue blood, right?
Sure.
Um, so you look at a step higher than Neptune is Josh Schertz on another level. I
Hmm.
think that's kind of the idea. Are those two programs willing to make that risk on a guy who's been to one Division I NCAA tournament with and hasn't had D1 success without Robbie Avila?
But yeah, and
Well,
I I would.
I think we're getting too far away from
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
the
Sure.
the actual situation here.
Yeah.
We're
We'll get back to the details.
get back
Sure.
to it. So
With
Chris May,
yeah.
Goes on Sports on a Sunday on KMOX Sunday morning. It is did you listen to this? Did you end up listening?
I didn't know. I missed it. I
Okay.
just had to read the pull
So
quotes.
I want to go back and, like, I want to be more fair to Chris May here, because if you like see kind of my posting throughout the Josh Schertz thing, I really have been almost entirely on Chris May's side. If, like, when I was upset, like, for the athletic department and Chris May and, like, the
Hmm.
people that
Hmm.
got everything together, thinking that Josh Schertz was going to just go up one little step to NC State, right?
Right.
So Chris May goes on Sports on Sunday morning, and he, like, there are none of the Chris May, like, we're going to compete. I think he did say high level, like, at the end of it, but, like, it took him a while, and he was not like, golly gee, we're really excited for year 3 of Josh Schertz. Like, he was like, he sounded annoyed, and you do wonder where the annoyance actually comes from, whether it was with Josh Schertz, with the media, or with, just the entire coaching carousel and the day in, day out of like stressing over the coaching situation. So he just sounded tired to me. But talk about give us a couple quotes from that.
Yeah, so what he told them was, and I think it's interesting to talk about his tone, right? But what he
said was great.
Yeah, it was pretty straightforward, right?
The words are great.
Josh interviewed with NC State. He continues to be our coach. I haven't heard anything different. We have the ability to recruit high-level talent. You keep moving forward. You keep your ear to the ground. We'll move through this situation as quickly as we can. Size is what we need to recruit to be able to compete with the Michigans of the world. Absolutely true. The gap between the mid-majors and high majors is shrinking due to NIL. I don't know if I agree with that.
There's an interesting. There's a conversation to be had.
Yes. The basketball-centric programs have a chance to compete at the highest level. We're not that far off, but you've got to have size to compete. And then we are fully focused on building our men's basketball program. So he didn't say much specific. He didn't say much new. It was all good. And like I said, I didn't listen to get his tone. But reading between the lines here, Zach, based on tone, based on the quotes, did you get any sense that there might be more to this than meets the eye, whether that is where May is or where the relationship between Schertz and May is?
No, I don't. I've always said that I don't think this has anything to do with it. I've always said that I think that likely I just never saw them having a friendly, like it's not a relationship where you're like, golly gee, it's been me and you for 3 years now. We're doing this thing. We're building this together. It's like, it's very workmanlike. It's, it's get the job done. They're aligned. When he says the alignment, like Chris May is aligned with the idea that he wants to get to the Big East. He wants to do all these things. I've heard him talk in grandiose terms about many different things in the athletic department, but I don't necessarily think he has the vision. But he has Josh Schertz now, and Josh Schertz has the vision, and Chris May can buy into that vision. So I think there's an alignment, of course, for what the goal is. I think everybody's on board with what the goal is. I think with Josh Schertz here, May now sees how to get to that goal. You have Chaffetz, you have the rest of the donors all understanding that this is the Billiken's moment, the chance to break through that glass ceiling, so to speak, for mid-majors. You have the right guy. You have a lot of money. And this is a time where having a lot of money can buy you nice things in college basketball. So I think they are aligned. I don't think they are buddy-buddy. I don't think that matters all that much. I mean, obviously it could matter, come down to 50-50 shot, right? But right. I don't think it necessarily matters. It would be nice if, but look, I think Chris, looking back on this, said all the right things. I think it's interesting that he kind of was matter of fact. He wasn't selling you anything. He was just kind of saying, and it almost like in retrospect feels confident or like, why am I even doing this? Like,
interesting,
in hindsight being 2020, I could see possibly that the tone being just annoyed that he's gotta, like, he knows I don't know. I wonder how, like, if Schertz is as transparent as he is with the media, how transparent is he with May? I guess that's my question.
I would imagine he's a pretty straight shooter.
Like, do you think he's like even if so, like the end report is that NC State, there was barely any real interest, right? So do you think he kind of told May that like they would really have to wow me, Is that a conversation? Because then you look at the, the tweet from Stu that kind of got caught up in this stuff was the that Schertz will now wait for the offer from NC State and to see if it was like an extraordinary offer. And it's like, holy shit, are we just going to listen to is that what we're going to just do? Every school that has a coaching offer, we're just like, it just seemed like you were just come to me, make offer. I'm open for business. That's kind of played into the negative feelings, I think, among Billiken fans.
So after we find out about NC State, you're right that the tweet from Stu is really what sent people into a spin, right? Schertz says that after talking with NC State that no financial particulars were discussed, and he will wait to see if an offer comes with numbers that are significantly better than SLU's. And that's when you just go, we know you signed a big contract extension. We know that they went back to the table and maybe upped it a little bit after Providence and Syracuse and all of that kind of stuff. Like this is the part where SLU fans are kind of being like, oh, come on. Like, aren't we done here? What's still going on?
Like this is an auction. It's the MTV show Next, where I think I called it a speed dating show.
Speed date. You called it speed dating, and I thought that was pretty funny.
China, nice to meet you.
When you have teams flying in on private jets to talk to your coach, that's really what it feels like. So then Stu follows up a few hours later. It seems my previous tweet was possibly worded badly. So to clarify, Schertz has been consistent in saying he's very happy at SLU, and it would take something unforeseen for him to leave. Whether NC State reaches that threshold remains to be seen. So
if I trip over the curb, it would be unforeseen. That was
a little bit better. But it got to the point, Zach, that Schertz himself issued a statement on Sunday afternoon. And do you want to read this or do you think it's worth getting into the whole thing? It's long.
Yeah, it is. Which I totally like. I opened up Twitter and bam, right in front of me, and I was like, "Holy shit! This is great." Like I didn't even care what's in it. He's addressing it head on.
St. Louis basketball letterhead.
Did you have any concerns? Like I know you saw it because I told you it had come out. And
I was out in the backyard with the kids.
So you kind of knew that it wasn't going to be like dire.
I don't know what I expected.
I opened it and I just saw a letter from Coach. I was like, "Oh, what in God's name is this going to say?"
Were you worried?
Because I had just said he needs to shut up. Like he needs to not address it at all. Just let it sit. I was full Chris May in this situation. I was like, let's just not talk about it. Let it go away. So he says again, like you said. Official letterhead, even got there's an embossed arch in there if you can see.
Good design.
He said, I know a lot has been written here recently about what has or hasn't transpired the last few days, and in fact over the last couple of weeks. While speculation and misinformation can run rampant on the internet, you're welcome. I do think it's important that I speak for myself to clear up any potential misunderstandings. To begin, I have been clear every single time that I have been asked that I am very happy being the basketball coach at St. Louis University and have put pen to paper to commit to that. As I have said repeatedly, it will take something incredible for me to consider leaving, and my actions have matched my words. Top-down alignment from the Board of Trustees to Dr. Fiesert to Chris May is ironclad and has positioned SLU basketball for success both in the immediate future and in the years to come. The city of St. Louis has wrapped their arms around our program in a way that gives you goosebumps. And all of us who play and coach here realize how fortunate we are to have you lifting us up every night in Chaffetz. Interest from other programs in our players and staff is a byproduct of team success. So as uncomfortable as it may be, let's hope that never changes. While most of these conversations occur as they should in private on rare occasions, it unfortunately plays out in the public sphere. Just know that I, along with everyone else inside of this program, realize what a special place this is and appreciate deeply all of you who make it so. One thing I have really tried to do is connect the program to the fan base, and the media here in St. Louis has been great conduit to that connection. To help facilitate, I've been accessible and transparent with the media, as I know they have a job to do and understand their integral role in disseminating information to our fans. That said, there was a tweet posted yesterday that was not, in my opinion, malicious, but unintentionally misleading. just to be clear on the posting question, I never said I was waiting on anyone to come back with a significantly better offer than SLU. I don't think like that. And I never have chased money in my career. I've always chased success. The fact is, I turned down significantly more money this spring to remain at SLU. While that may have looked like a paraphrase statement for me, I can assure you it was not. Since I arrived in April of 2024, we have worked tirelessly to deliver a program that makes everyone associated with it proud, be it our fans, alumni, administration, or supporters. Our overarching North Star is to give you a program that represents the very best traits of this amazing city and university, and we will continue to pour ourselves into doing just that. Now we move forward with a focus on the future and maximizing the incredible opportunity we have to accomplish something special together. Roll Bills in gigantic letters. I could have been happier with this tweet. It came out, I believe, at like 3 p.m. and it followed a statement at 1 p.m. I believe that reporters said he officially withdrew his name from the NC State search, and that was kind of that.
Yeah, once that was official, you felt better, but it was quite a ride, Zach. But this is when things got even more interesting, right? Because we started to see official reports of what we had heard rumored from West Pine Bills and others recently, that SLU's revenue and revenue share and NIL commitment would be north of 10 million for this upcoming season. Mm-hmm. We'll get into the roster breakdown a little bit later, but you figure everyone who wants to come back can get a raise for retention, right? But with that kind of budget, you can also go out and get a few major names from the transfer portal. So
that's half of what Michigan.
It's half of Michigan. Yeah, right. But you got to keep in mind, Michigan, Kentucky, there's really only a few that are substantially above 10 million.
Oh, yeah.
And there really aren't that many at the $10 million level, right? Like we're at that level, you're outspending most of the Big East.
Yes.
So
that's crazy.
That's a great big number, and
it's tied specifically to Schertz. I think the understanding is
right.
It is hot. Like I would say that whatever that NIL was, what was it, 4.5? They said rumored. I would say you're looking at like either that consistently for whoever the next coach is, or you're looking at around 10 million for Josh Schertz, or somewhere in the middle, closer to that lower end, I believe. That's my guess.
Right. And this is a point that I've kind of been making when I've been talking to friends lately, is just that these things go hand in hand, right? Like you've got the commitment to the coach and you've got the commitment to the NIL and revenue share. And that's the thing that really scares you, is they rise and fall together, because as much as it's taking boosters, donors to go the extra mile to make this NIL era happen, their commitments can go away really quickly if the coach stops performing, or if the coach that they really like is replaced. So this is a really kind of fickle thing. It's a really sensitive thing. And it's 10 million plus for Schertz, but if we suddenly had to replace him, I don't know how you get back to 10 million. Like, you need a really good hire who convinces all those same people in a very short amount of time, this is what I need to put together a roster in a really short amount of time. And that's hard to do, especially when you're SLU and you're not Kentucky or one of those that's always going to have 8 figures to throw at a roster no matter what. So that's the thing where this becomes really scary, is because you either have all of what you want, this great coach, all this money to spend on a roster, or you have whoever the replacement is and whatever people are willing to throw at him in his first year when he's unproven. And that's where it's extra scary for fans.
There are a few other jobs that have opened in this cycle that we haven't mentioned already. But I don't think there are any that we should be concerned about.
No, and most of them are filled at this point. I think the point is just to say there's been about a dozen other power conference schools. Jobs open, mostly got filled, didn't really involve Schertz. Maybe a couple reached out and it was not publicized. We don't know for sure. But it seemed like they all had kind of different missions in mind. when they opened up.
So where do we stand on the way all of this was handled, and what does it all mean?
Yeah, Zach, this is really like I think number one, you circle back to people just the okay. I guess I should start by saying SLU fans really have not been through this before.
No.
The last coach that we had that was hired away was 2002, my freshman year, Lorenzo Romar, right? And so at that point, you're a few years before social media. You have Billikens.com. That's about the extent of where people were talking online about SLU, and that at the time is a relatively small community. And yeah, people within the athletic department and everything were aware of it, but I don't think it's the kind of thing where like the larger fan base that at the time was going down to Scott Trade Center, whatever, Savas, whatever it was called that year. Most of those people are not aware of that conversation. So the whole fan conversation about coaching changes just didn't exist the way that it does now. It just
and
didn't.
the only other time we've seen it was hiring Josh Schertz
That's right.
and potentially losing him to Cincinnati.
That's
that
right.
was about the
or Louisville.
or Louisville. Sorry, Louisville. Yes.
Yeah. So it's fair to say that SLU fans have never actually really been through this before, and on this end of it, certainly. Yeah. And that I think is and we saw some reactions, right?
Michael Schertz. Well, Michael Schertz said,
Yes.
"Is this your first offseason or coaching carousel?" And we're kind of like, "Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, Mike.
It is.
I know you listen.
Be a little, show us a little grace, a little patience, because this is new to us, right? Like we've had to buy out contracts. We've had people die on the job, but we don't really have guys who are hired away. That's just not something that we're familiar with.
Add Rick Majerus to the people that won't come on our podcast. Thanks for that. You had to say it so callously, didn't you?
I don't think I'm speaking ill of the dead. I'm just speaking matter of factly.
Okay.
So my point is, all of the reactions that came from SLU fans were genuine and wouldn't be the way that they were if they didn't like this guy, this coach, this team so much. So my comment to Michael Schertz and Jaden Schertz and whoever else may have taken issue with the way fans reacted this weekend is just like,
I think we could throw Jeff Dunlap under the bus.
Jeff Dunlap too. Yep. It's all love. It's all because the people here love this team, this program, this coaching staff so much. And yeah, some of them are a little salty right now because of the way this all transpired. But I would just encourage that side of the fence to be just a little understanding and patient about where we are and try and see our perspective as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's the first thing that needs to be said, Zach, right? Am I missing anything from that perspective?
No, I think really I think the morning after guys nailed it with kind of a post-mortem on their show this morning where, and I'm paraphrasing and I don't have it in front of me, but I believe the conclusion is basically that, Schertz says no to Providence and Syracuse, Providence, then Syracuse in a kind of stepping stone, like Providence, Syracuse. So he gets the contract extension after Providence. He gets an additional commitment after Syracuse from rumor. That's rumor. So the diest of hard fans. Wait, no, let me say that again. The diehardiest of fans, diehardiest of fans are the ones that are following this stuff. So like you say, okay, now we've given you two new deals essentially. And we are not bending over backwards, but like really putting on a show to prove how much we think you are the future and the truth and the greatest coach that will ever coach at SLU. And you say, it'll take something unbelievable. What's extraordinary? And it's NC State.
Yeah.
There is
Right.
historical precedent for NC State being at our level competition wise and financially at best.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Is that when
Like
you're thinking about blue bloods, you're thinking about the NBA, you're thinking about the things you would actually leave for, and we would go, you know what? We can't compete with North Carolina. We like there's a certain brand, a certain level that is just college basketball through and through, and we'll respect that.
If you stay, we'll love you forever. You will be. By the way, dead serious. Josh Schertz, you can build your legacy building this program. Like this is the easiest job to turn yourself into a god in one of the best sports towns in America. Like this is such an easy ass media town to work in. Like we said it last episode. Right? The only people that get any flack are wearing the birds on the bat. I real talk like that you can be a god in St. Louis and a legendary coach here at St. Louis University. I promise you. Which is not as good as Michael Gaines's poem on The Morning After, but I went a little more speech rather than poetry. But
I think you're absolutely right in that sense, and circling back to your point about NC State ain't it is from our perspective, like when you go to the negotiating table with a coach who has all the leverage, and he says, "Well, I want raises for all my assistants," this is after they've given you a huge raise, right? And they say, "Okay." And you say, well, I need this much in NIL if I'm going to have the kind of players who can handle Michigan. And they say, okay. And I'm going to need, this access to these planes for recruiting. And I'm going to need all of these other little things. And SLU said, yes, 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 and yes.
No, these are just total examples, totally made up examples.
Oh, these are things that he said on.
Oh, okay.
On the radio.
Did he?
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not making this up.
Okay.
He said
Go on.
this.
Go on.
So SLU said yes to everything and gave him everything that he asked for to be competitive. So I think that's where the other part of this is coming from for fans. It's like, well, we did not. I mean, I'm saying
the royal
league. You and I didn't chip in seven figures or anything like that.
I think we can look. That's where I was kind of like, yo, I'm with Chris May here. What the hell? Like, you tell him, Chris. Get on the radio, Chris. You tell him. Put him in his place. Like I was like, what are we doing?
Right. And your tone about your comment about Chris May's tone about being a little like, he's like, he did everything. He said yes to everything. The negotiation was, I imagine, not a lot of pushback from SLU. It was, okay, how do we make it happen? And so that's where you go, okay, now that we've signed, now that we've said yes to everything you wanted, NC State, really?
Really? like you're like, is it gonna be every school? Are we gonna not necessarily like because and it wasn't that like it felt like if Cincinnati would have called them up and been like, and he would talk to him, be like, Cincinnati, like, sure, but it wasn't even Cincinnati calling. It was just like a minute step up. Again, we played them in the College Cup. We beat them in 2014.
2014, and then we had the home and home,
yes,
where that was separated by a season or two, and we won the first and lost the second.
Yes.
Both teams won at home. All time we've got a 2-1 series lead on them.
It just doesn't. It didn't feel like it felt like just. And then you have people talking about the bid situation in the A10, like not enough bids in the A10. There only needs to be one bid in the A10.
I'm gonna get to that in a minute though, because I think the structure of the A10 is about to change in a major way, and I think everybody in the A10 knows it. We'll get to that soon, though, Zach.
Wait, what?
I mean, this is not a big reveal. especially if you
Did I
read the
miss
notes ahead of
something?
time. No, I just
Oh, just okay. Let's go on. Let's go on. We'll get to them.
let's get okay. So
Great tease,
I have
outstanding tease.
one more question because we've covered how fans handled it. Do
Yes,
we think we are done for this cycle, or do you think there is going to be a little bit more um,
occurring.
uh, jets flying into Parks Airport across the river?
Uh God, man, and that's the thing. Like, is Michigan and Arizona a step too far right now for Josh Schertz? Like handing over the reins to Bovair. God love him. I
Mhm.
think a lot of Billiken fans would say that it's maybe a season too early. If you could
Mhm.
get two more seasons with Josh Schertz, and Bovair's ready, and then there's through. So, like I mean, I think my butt's going to be puckered at some point.
Yeah.
I think at least one more time, and I think it'll probably be Arizona. And I would love that for them to. Eric Olin would be a great opportunity. Would be a great choice for Arizona.
So people are talking now. This is where UNC comes back into play, right?
Right.
Because people are talking about UNC. The names that are coming up there are Billy Donovan, who is coaching the Bulls, who aren't having a great season. Now, the issue there is they still have a couple months left in the season, and if you're a college program, you can't
Yeah.
wait. You got to put a team together now.
He would have to walk
He
from
would
the
have to
Bulls.
walk, and he has already said that he wouldn't do that before the season ends. But I think he would be the guy that they want the most. Now, they're also mentioning Dusty May and Tommy Lloyd, who are the two best teams remaining. It's a shame they're on the same side of the Final Four and that it's not the actual
It's
final.
crazy that you win a championship and there are bigger jobs you can go to.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's because it's those four, Mount Rushmore name brand schools in college basketball, Kentucky, Kansas, UNC, and Duke, and then it's everybody else. And even though I think of Michigan and Arizona and UCLA and Michigan State and some of these others as real blue bloods, right? Like there's about
Yeah.
15 or so of them, maybe a
And
dozen,
and we
but
saw what we saw in the NCAA tournament. Like I felt like there were more of the threes, the fours, the fives, the sixes went further. Like there's only two one seeds in the final four. Usually there's three to four. Like for the last
well,
like 5 years, it's been fairly chalk as far as
y-
the one seeds making the final four.
I
So
do think that
I
the
felt like
ones have been stronger lately. Yeah.
this tournament was a little more parity packed, I guess. Um, let's keep going down our list though. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah. So anyway, so is it over for this cycle? I guess it depends on what happens there. I hate that we have to wait another week before, those teams are all done playing. But that's just kind of the way it is. We're just going to have to be on edge, probably a little bit longer, and that's unfortunate. But it does speak a lot to what people think of Shirts because the D1 track record really isn't there yet for
yeah.
these level of jobs. But the fact that he is thought of within the coaching community that highly, I think says a lot. Like we said last week, he's the guy. SLU needs to do whatever they can, and that remains true. So, what does SLU have to offer in terms of advantages staying long term, Zach? If he were to stay at SLU, I really think that SLU basically has everything that power conference programs have except the conference, right? And we'll get to in a minute why that matters so much. But what I was saying before that you reacted to is I think it's pretty clear at this point that SLU, VCU, and Dayton are going to outspend the rest of the league by a significant margin and establish themselves as the top tier in the A10. And it's going to be really hard for everybody else to crack that. As much as the power conferences have walled the NCAA tournament off from as many other teams and conferences as possible with the quad system, schedule, the way they schedule, the way they grab transfers, etc. I honestly believe there's a path to an at-large bid available every season for a top three A10 team that just takes care of business, right? SLU did it this year. The VCU was right on the cutoff line the past two seasons, but won the conference tournament, luckily. both years. Dayton looked like an at-large team last year until they lost to a few bottom A10 teams in a row in January. Then they finished this season playing like a tournament level team. Like when we faced them the last couple times, that was a top 40 team, no question. But they had already lost some bad games earlier in the season and weren't really in the at-large picture. All three of these teams, though, had a clear path, and that's before they really boost their NIL commitments, which I think all of them are doing, right? So I really, and I've seen this conversation being had by fans of other A10 programs. Like they look at these three as like, oh, they're about to run away with the league. Especially when Matt Norlander's tweet went out about the 10 million plus on rev share and NIL, they were like, it's over. I mean, because VCU's doing this, Dayton's doing this, SLU's doing this, it's over. Like those three are just going to take the league. And I think the A10 is still strong enough to where if those three can schedule well, win enough, take care of business in conference, I think they're going to be maybe not every single year, but two of those teams are going to get in every year, at least, and hopefully three. So anyway, that's one of the things that I think is an advantage that we now have that maybe is a reason you don't go to a bottom half power conference team, if that makes sense.
Yes, I 100%. I think also it's wild to see the Big East section of Twitter kind of stand up and say like, hey, SLU needs to get over here.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. Big East fans have said they're outspending everybody except a couple. UConn, arguably the fifth if you had a top five in college basketball to go with the four that I said. But yeah, we would be outspending almost everyone else, maybe not St. John's and Villanova.
And I think I really do think that it's not about nothing. Like I think all this conversation, there is some smoke somewhere. I don't know where it's at.
Yeah.
But I have no inside information, no insight into what's happening. But I mean, would it shock you if the conference is realigned after this season? Like, would it shock you if the Big East took SLU, Dayton, VCU and called it a day?
I would be thrilled. I would be in a good mood that would take just the worst things in life to bring me down from, but I would not be shocked by it. I wouldn't be shocked by almost anything in college sports anymore, to be honest with you.
It's outrageous.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I think when you have, I would love for Loyola to jump in there. And because but if you look back at those seasons, it was Butler, VCU, Xavier. No, Butler, VCU.
It was pre Loyola.
SLU, Dayton.
Oh wait,
Loyola was lead, or Loyola came post Butler.
We only had Butler for one season,
yes,
and that season was magic. I think we got 6 into the tournament that year.
Yes.
So yeah, it's the A10 had a hard time keeping it together, but yeah, you'd want to see Loyola. I don't know if they can go 10, but especially the issue they have right now is what I was talking about before. Their coach, who they had committed to, had a dreadful season with a roster that they spent pretty much on.
Love is fickle.
It's like I'm not throwing good money after bad.
You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying. Actually, that's a good reference.
Yeah.
So, but people don't want to throw good money after bad, Zach. Right? So that's the trap that Loyola's in right now.
Yeah, it's not good. Are we recapping the season too here? It's been a doozy. Let's do it.
We okay. But like just if you want to get into some other advantages, many of which Schertz and them have stated before, commitment from the institution. I think Dr. Fazer appears to be more on board than we've ever seen a president before.
I mean, it's nice to, like, again, I love the fact I genuinely, I don't know. I've met Dr. Fazer. I have not really had like time spent with him or anything to like get to know him. Mm-hmm. But I like the guy. Like I think his actions since he's gotten here at Billiken games have done nothing but endear him to the Billiken fan base. He's wearing the Billiken pullover every game. He's into the game. He has
Yeah.
great fist pumps.
Oh, he
Uh,
sits really close and is like
well, he
when you
sits
say in
courtside. He sits in the
he's
same
into the game.
seats.
Yeah,
Yes,
so he was in
but
the
I
front of
mean,
the section at the conference tournament and he was like into the games.
yeah,
Like not just there but like really into it. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, obviously, you get, I wasn't the biggest fan of Costello. Just I thought, whatever. Um, but I just, it's nice to have somebody that gets it and
Yes.
is involved personally, because I think, we need the athletic department needs an eyeball on
Yeah.
it,
Yeah. I think
because it's
so.
got so much potential and just has not been able to reach it for whatever reason. In basketball,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, for sure. But you've also got, you got the major media market for media, sports, infrastructure. You've got the facilities. You've got a strong basketball community, a lot of talent, a lot of fans. And then, like we said last week, the ability to do this job with a fraction of the pressure that you'd face at a typical power conference school. Although, Zach, based on the reactions from him and his family this weekend, I don't know if they believe that to be the case right now. But I think you have everything you need at SLU to achieve that, sort
yeah,
of Gonzaga of the Midwest model. If you have a great coach who commits to this place long term,
yeah.
and I think that model is if you can hang on to that guy is really it's possible.
If St. Louis University feels unique, and I'm sure it might be just proximity bias, but like the experience of game day is different. Like even going to like a Butler game, 10, 12 years ago now, whatever it was, going to, with Chaffetz Arena, with the way that the city does come out for the college team. I know, you look at other metro areas that maybe don't, right? Like Philly is a jam-packed, you know, like it's a jam-packed for sports. So it's a lot of competition. You look at Richmond Spiders. They really don't they don't get the Richmond,
Yeah.
they don't get the love. So SLU's in a great position where they're filling, a mid-size arena pretty easily.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, like Schertz has mentioned, being the only D1 in town makes a difference, and a lot of our conference partners just don't. Yeah, they don't have that advantage all over the
we,
place, right?
I mean, look at the broadcast. Like you
Oh
can
yeah,
say whatever you want about announcers or whether the graphics have all the right packages on them,
yeah,
right? But like it's it looks great. It looks professional. It is the same kind of production value that the professional sports teams here in St. Louis get on FanDuel Sports Midwest.
yeah.
So like that's huge. Like you watch a Dayton game and it looks podunk on TV.
Hmm.
Their regional sports, whatever they have. I don't know who airs it. But a lot of these are showing on like channel sixes and the over the air
Hmm.
uh, in the small towns. And St. Louis has a massive media market.
Yeah,
So I think there's a lot of advantage here. You can be a man about town, Josh. You can relive that what was that Thursday he had? You can relive
yeah.
that Thursday every year.
That's right. Yeah, Blues Cardinals in one day. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
and maybe you can do a Battle Hawks or a City too. Throw in three for
do it all. Um, I think the last point on this side of the ledger, Zach, is that there's also the VCU model, right? If you can't
yeah.
do the Gonzaga model, maybe you can get by with the VCU model. As VCU fans have told us, don't be afraid. It can be done. Don't worry, it can be done. We
Mhm.
have that potential, right? But that would mean getting every single hire right back to back to back. And when
Yeah.
has SLU done that before? We've already covered that point. It's just not something we're used to. So again, it can be done. We just got to keep getting it right, and that's harder than having one person just say, "I want to be here."
Yeah, I
For
think
good.
some of the fear Billiken fans have, right? You talk about not going through this before, and you talk about the hires that have been made, and they've not been so good.
Yeah.
Majerus was obviously the last home run hire. Ford was uninspiring, but okay, it's an okay hire. And Cruz was obviously an unmitigated disaster.
Right.
Inconsistency is a concern.
Yeah.
You just hope that hopefully the next time we have to find a coach, the choice is obvious.
Yeah. That's right. I hope
Um,
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So then
so
if
for
we're looking
now
at
we have a reprieve. For
we have a
now,
short one, but the things to worry about that like power conference jobs could offer that we can't. There's really three of them that I see. It's the resources that come from being a football school, right? Like I don't think it's a big difference purely from basketball, but there's just a level of money and attention and I don't know, resources that you
or
have.
aura.
Yeah, sure, call it that. That the big time football schools have that Sloop just can't compete with, right? Like they have to look at the basketball schools that have made it work. And I think you have a generally more direct path to the NCAA tournament when your conference gets so many more bids. Again, I think it's arguable when you compare it to the power conference schools in the bottom half of their leagues, because getting out of that and then staying out of that is really hard, to be one of the top half teams that's getting in. But more importantly, I think and this is probably most important, it's the path to the top seeds that you don't have much access to in the A10. You need an almost perfect season like Dayton in 2019, 2020. Otherwise, you're really just a couple losses away from your seed falling off or maybe not even getting in. SLU was looking like a 6 seed, I think, for a lot of the season, but ended up as a 9 seed after that kind of bumpy finish they had, right? So I think you're just always working with the benefit of the doubt and the structural advantages of being a power conference team. If you start with a 24-1 record and you're one of those teams, it's hard to kick you out of a 1 seed. Whereas when we start as a 24-1 record, we're talking about, can we get to a 5? Can we get to a 4? Right? It's just a different conversation.
Uh, Breaking news: big swing on prediction markets for Donovan to UNC.
Okay.
So take that for whatever the hell that's worth.
I don't know what to think about. I mean, I'm anti prediction markets overall, but I'll
Oh,
take
I
that.
am too. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it is. We could. We should start another podcast and discuss that on that one.
Yeah. Right.
Um, do we? How do we
Yeah.
move on? I think the dominoes we mentioned Michigan, Arizona. So we have reprieve until at least Friday night.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for the coaching carousel on the next episode or whatever. I don't know. Pete, we didn't foresee the stuff we just talked about happening. So we did not really plan on. We planned on doing a season recap. I think we're going to let the season breathe a little bit longer, let the
Hmm.
nostalgia juices build up inside everybody, and just nostalgia bait them all in like 3 weeks.
Perfect.
The cycles are moving so fast now on the internet, man. You got to just like nostalgia is like 3 weeks ago.
That's right.
Let's talk about this roster. Robbie Avila, Dion Brown, and Paul Otieno are all out of eligibility. They cannot return.
Yep. And we're gonna miss them.
We are going to miss them. Paul Otieno, by the way, all three of those guys were fantastic in the NCAA tournament. Apparently, individual meetings were held this past week, and they're going to be signing deals with players this coming week. Schertz did talk about this on the morning after.
Yeah, he did, and he said that 9 of 11 of the potential returners were committed to returning, with 2 on the fence. When you say there's 2 on the fence, you immediately go to, well, they're probably going to leave, right? Because even the 9 of 11, he said, I can't guarantee. It's not like they've signed anything, but barring something unforeseen, they say they're returning, right? So that's what he said, Zach. But then, come to find out, the day we record this, Monday the 30th, we found out that we've got 2 guys entering the portal.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that would be Kalu Anya and Brady Dunlap.
Yeah.
Uh, one of these is not even like we kind of took it as fact about, like a month or so. Like, I mean, halfway through this season, it kind of felt like this team is really, really good. Kalu Anya can't get minutes on this team. If we're going to be better next year, Kalu better have a hell of an offseason.
Right.
So
Right.
the math didn't really math.
Yeah, and to me, it also came down to fit, right? Like Kalu, he gives you defense, he gives you rebounding. He's a good teammate, a good student. You don't have to worry about him. He's all that intangible kind of stuff. But then he redshirts, right? After playing his junior year the prior season, played his first 2 years at Brown. He's got 1 year left. He doesn't really bring the things that we really need, which is a higher degree of size and athleticism in the front court. And his scoring touch is maybe a little bit lacking too, especially at the free throw line. Some people said he had the yips in his first season here. I don't know. Maybe he's just not a good free throw shooter. Either way, there's just a little bit of a gap, I think, between what he is and what we really need on the roster
yeah.
if we're going to make that leap.
Yeah. And I think, I mentioned the Discord, but man, like this deal seems pretty sweet for everybody involved. Slew gets a really nice practice player, someone to bang bodies with Otieno and Kerr and Avila. And Anya gets to stay on the team that he helped, kind of start the rebuild on and
Hmm.
enjoy the spoils of war, so to speak. Sit through, go to an NCAA tournament, watch them win, be with the boys. And so I think, and he gets to spend a season looking at his options. So he's got so long to find that right fit.
Finishing his degree, becoming a grad
Yes.
transfer, and getting paid all while doing it. I think that's an important part of it too. So, I'm not as like there's an era, there's a time where you feel bad for every guy leaving. I don't think this is one of those situations. I think everybody got something out of this, and I don't think he's full of regret by any means at all. The other one, Zach. Now, I want to get your reaction on this one too. Brady Dunlap, right? You mentioned his name already, but he took a little while to get going this season. But by mid-December, he was really a key player. 17 minutes a game at the end of the year, 7 points a game, 2 rebounds a game. He shot over 45% from three, and he had a stretch from mid-December to mid-January where he scored double digits in 8 of 9 games. I thought he was really good in both NCAA tournament games as well. Gaines, our friend Michael Gaines, who sent the poem to Josh Schertz on the morning after, tweeted out, "You could argue that no other Billiken sacrificed more than Dunlap." And here's a guy shooting over 45% from three, playing 17 minutes a game, and probably thinking, that could be a lot more minutes per
Yeah.
game at another place, right? Or is there more to
Yeah.
the story here?
No, I mean, I think that's kind of it. It's big time college basketball.
It is.
Roll with it.
Yeah, I got the idea they would have wanted him back, right?
You see what I did there.
I do. I that was
Hmm.
really subtle, but well done, and
Okay.
bonus points for any listener that catches that.
Well, now they're gonna try to figure out why. Yeah, it's just I think defense comes down to defense. We got to get better defensively. Got to get better. And you know what? I thought he was good defensively. He was fine. He was
Hmm.
useful and serviceable is the word I'm looking for. And I think he was the floor burn guy too. He was on the floor all the time, whether that be getting knocked down or diving after loose balls. So he really was one of the blue collar players on this team, and that's going to be missed.
Yeah, yeah. I think if you told me two guys were going, I think most people would have agreed that Anya's probably one, but I don't think anybody would have had Brady as number two.
Yeah, I think you'd look at. I think a lot of people said Latchkowski, but I mean, I think There's been murmurs of his play in practice and it being really, really good. I think you could have said Cam Hudson. Anybody who really didn't play.
Yeah, Diakite.
Yeah, Badara. And again, he could still be on his way out. I don't know.
Right.
Who knows?
It could be more than two, you know, maybe somebody's going to surprise Schertz, or maybe one of these guys surprise Schertz, you know, out of the 11 that he had mentioned. So, yeah, that remains to be seen. We'll miss both guys. We obviously wish both of them but the best of luck. And I think they both got a good experience here as well.
Yeah, I think Billiken fans should prepare for it.
Hmm.
But I don't necessarily. I think we both agreed that it wouldn't be crazy if everybody stayed together on this team. But they got to get better.
Yeah.
So returners this season would be Trey Green, Ishan Sharma, Amari McCautry, Quentin Jones, Kellen Thames, Jax Kerr, Cam Hudson. The returners that were redshirting the season: Luke Lachkowski and Badara Diakite. What are we going to do with those five roster spots? I'm not going to call them scholarships anymore.
Yeah, well, so that's 9 guys right there, and the 10th is Jamel Thomas, the signed high school commitment, who was with the team in Buffalo, you know, hanging out at the games there. So yeah, he's in as well. The 5 open scholarships, Schertz has already said it sounds like it'll be 2 bigs that they're looking for. They're prizing size, athleticism. Look, everybody else is too. That's the most expensive thing in the portal. Playing against Michigan highlighted how much we need that. But again, it's something that everybody around the country is looking for as well. Other than 2 big, strong, athletic players who are versatile and very, very expensive, he's looking for, quote, a perimeter player who can facilitate, shoot the 3, and score downhill. I think he's probably also in that looking for someone who can defend as well. You know, like if you're looking at a Brady Dunlap, you say, well, he can shoot the 3. He gives you a little bit of downhill scoring. He's not much of a facilitator. He certainly had his struggles defensively at times this season as well. So I think they're probably looking for somebody who's just got a couple more attributes than he had. But also, Zach, with 15 scholarships, I think it also means a guy or 2 you don't absolutely need this coming season. Players who you can redshirt again, the Lachkowski, the Diakite, somebody who you can develop. Maybe they want to stay in your system, redshirt a year, learn, come in as kind of a super freshman the next year, a redshirt freshman. I think maybe a couple of those would make sense as well. Certainly at least one. So. I think those are all the things those are the main things you're looking for. Is there anything else, like as you look at this roster, where you kind of see a hole or a need or anything like that?
I think, I mean, again, I don't know if how they're going to run the offense, who they're going to run it through. Maybe you're looking for another stretch 5. Maybe you're looking for or a guy to replace Avila spiritually.
Yeah.
I think Jax Kerr can be that guy. I don't know if he's ready to take 20, 30 minutes a game. Will we run that many guys out there in a game? Will we stay that deep? I would assume so if we return everybody. I don't know. I don't know. I leave that kind of stuff, like the put it together. I'd never be good at that. I couldn't. Not
Yeah.
basketball. Not
Yeah.
basketball. So I'll leave it up to our guy Josh.
Yeah.
There was a visitor today.
There was, Zach. I think he got in yesterday on Sunday when we normally record, and that was Yusuf Ahmad, a 6'7" point guard from King Heights Academy in Vaughan, Ontario, just outside of Toronto. Played AAU for UPlay, which is a Canadian program within Nike. He's a big, well-rounded point guard. Like I said, he's always 6'7". He's generally one of the best rebounders on the floor, despite being a point guard. He also blocks shots, which you don't often see from that position. really a good transition player, good handles for his size, great passing ability. He frequently ended up with triple doubles for his high school team and sometimes his AAU team as well. He can shoot it off the catch or dribble from range. He's got a quick release on his shot. He had some 30 to 40 point scoring games this season. So he gives you a little bit of everything in a great big frame. Kind of a little bit of a late bloomer, but a really intriguing long-term upside kind of prospect. I don't think he's an instant impact freshman though, right? So when we're talking about a guy or two that you can stash, a Luke Lechkowski type, a different skill set, but to do that path, right? I think he's probably a guy they would want to develop in the system and keep him as a red shirt next season, or a freshman who just plays reserve minutes like Hudson, for example. So he visited SLU just the last couple days. Other offers, I can confirm Tennessee, Martin, Jacksonville, and Long Island. I think he probably has more based on the amount of visits he's doing, but I'm not 100% sure. He's visited Arkansas State recently. I think he's going to Marshall this week. Those two plus SLU and UIC came up to see him play recently. He said he's also getting really serious interest from Tulsa, Hofstra, and Evansville. I know he's had some other programs, Virginia Tech, Stanford, some higher level ones that have kind of been sniffing around as well. So based on that collection of schools, you might be thinking like, hey, if we've got all this NIL money, what gives? But an inexpensive freshman who might be interested in redshirting and developing, but who has some real long-term upside potential.
Yeah.
I think that's a player that makes sense if you've got 15 scholarships. If you've got 13, maybe that's not what you want to use one on. But in this case, I do see the long-term potential here for sure. So we'll see how the visit goes, whether there's an offer, and I think we've got another visitor or two coming on campus this week as well.
What's crazy, Pete, is that the schedule is like wide open.
Mm-hmm. Wide open, Zach. Way different than it typically is at this point of the year.
We have one game.
Yeah, just the neutral game against South Florida that we talked about before. Now coached by Chris Mack.
At least publicized.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Publicized. So that's the only one we know about. The Santa Clara series remains uncertain. It was tabled after the teams met in the Acrisure series this past season. So I don't know what's going to be on the back end of that. But yeah, no other known games yet. So what do you want to see, Zach? And what would you expect to see for next season for the non-conference?
West Pine Bills mentioned Arizona for MTE. I would love to go back to Arizona for an MTE.
You mean not playing the school, but like in the state of Arizona?
Yeah, I would just like Phoenix or Tucson or one of those. I would schools. I mean, I would love to see us get the schools in the area around. I mean, I don't mind a Lindenwood. Missouri State, SIU, just get names that, or just those. Try to get those, middling teams that still have NCAA tournament appearance juice.
Yeah.
They get fans out. Now, it'll be interesting to see how the fans turn out next year. That'll be very interesting.
We need a little bit more brand name recognition in the non-con. I'm not saying you have to have like in the days where we used to have every year an Arizona or a UNC or a Gonzaga coming in to Enterprise Center. Not saying that's what we have to have coming in, but we have to have more schools that people recognize and would be interested to watch for sure. I think in terms of like an MTE, I think we want to go up a level in that. Like we need a little bit better games out of that. No triple digit, like if we're going to go play 2 games in the Bahamas or wherever, I don't know where we're going. You want to play, strong double digit teams. You want to get power conference teams. You want to get the kind of teams that look good on an NCAA tournament resume. So I think the MTE has to go up a notch. And then I think they're probably looking at getting a little creative with maybe a neutral site game or 2 against a power conference opponent. Maybe you go on the road and do a 2-for-1 with somebody. I think they've got to be. They're in a situation where they're not a guaranteed quad 1 game every season, but I think they think they probably will be this coming year. So teams might be looking for something for a year, but not long term. And so they're just going to have to be smart, creative, and accepting that they're not in a place where they can be, demanding that a team come to SLU first, for example. So I'm interested to see what they come up with. I'm confident that it'll be stronger than what we saw last season.
Pete, let's bring the people around the A10 and really college basketball. Let's take a little college basketball in general, maybe. But first, it's presented by 2 Men in the Garden. Talk a little bit about our friends over there.
Yeah, when you go to their website, the first thing they've got, and it's been this way for a while, their DIY pickling pouches are right at the top of the page. I love these things. They're fun. You can fit as many of them as you want in a box whenever you get an order. They've got 5 flavors. I really like the smoky chipotle and the real deal dill. I've had really good results with both of those. I like to experiment a little more with cooking when the weather's good. I think there's a few reasons for that. My family's outside more, and I have maybe a little more time in the evenings cooking and stuff like that, or on the weekends. My wife's she's always doing something in the yard, and I like to experiment in the kitchen. So that's kind of when I do that kind of stuff. But these are really fun. They're kind of a cheat code. There's a lot of different things you can throw into them. Really easy. Like I said, I get great results every time. You should check them out. Go to twomeninthegarden.com. Get a few of them, whatever flavors you're into. Try different veggies, try different stuff in there, and let us know what you think. Let 2 Men in the Garden know what you think. And most importantly, use our code at checkout, MMP, get free shipping, and let them know we sent you. twomeninthegarden.com.
Pete, the NIT, the A10 is officially done with basketball for the year.
Yeah, they are, Zach. New Mexico beat St. Joe's 84-69 in the quarterfinals. St. Joe's led at halftime out at the pit, but that one got away from them in the second half. And then Illinois State came to Dayton and beat them 61-55, which was pretty surprising given how Dayton had played in the first couple rounds of the NIT, and honestly the last month and a half of the regular season. I kind of thought Dayton had that one easily, but what do I know? Dayton can't lay an egg like that against us, can they?
No, never. Never. The final 4 of the NIT is New Mexico and Tulsa, and Illinois State and Auburn. Of course, New Mexico is where Eric Olin coaches, a guy who should be on a short list for Arizona, if indeed one of the people involved in the Arizona job. Dude, what is this like? I don't understand the CBC. So is the CBC basically on the off days of the NIT leading up to the Final 4? So
I haven't been paying attention to it at all.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
It doesn't matter. Nobody cares.
Once you get past the NIT, unless we're playing, sorry.
Yeah, nobody cares. The portal, Pete. The A10 is no stranger to players leaving, and there were a number of them this week that entered.
Yeah, and not just this week, but today, Zach. I mean, a lot of these names got added today. Davidson had 3 more guys, Parker Friedrichsen, Roberts, Blooms. That's 2 big names right there. And Philip Cavu. So the reason that these are a big deal is the first few guys from Davidson had all graduated. Now you've got underclassmen going, and that's where it gets a little scary for Davidson. At Fordham, they've got Rika Schulte, the big man. He's leaving. Going to be interesting to see what the market for him is, being having the size that everybody wants this season. George Mason had a big one today. Corey Mincy, they're really talented guard.
Damn.
Yeah, that's a big one. LaSalle gets to flip one from outgoing back to incoming. Rob Dockery removed his name from consideration and will be returning.
Did the Gola boys pull together enough money?
I think they did. They did.
Holy
they did some really
smokes.
nice.
They are changing the game at LaSalle. It was Gumby and the Gola boys.
They did it. Yeah, congrats to them. They can head out for cheesesteaks in celebration now. Outgoing from Loyola this week, Braden Young announced. Rhode Island, Damone King. Richmond, it was David. David
Sorry,
Thomas.
that was a Michael Jackson reference. Yeah, that was a Rush Hour 2 reference. Sorry. Go
Okay.
on. Great
Saint
movie.
Saint Bonaventure, Desante Bowen. I get the feeling we'll see more names from Bonaventure. And then St. Joe's, Deuce Jones was already there. Jaden Glover Toscano is now gone. The guys who were supposed to be number 1 and 2 this season. We'll see if Derek Simpson stays. He's the other big name there. VCU, Obaniah Okafor is number 1. He was kind of the odd man out this season. And then Christian Furman, who was injured most of the year, but was a big name before that, is also gone. So yeah, kind of a big few days for the league on exits, Zach.
Pete, incoming though, St. Bonaventure is hiring Missouri's own Michael McDonald. Give it up. Damo be there himself.
Yeah, what do you think, Zach? So he comes from D2. He's got a really good track record of winning in D2 at Damon University, I believe it's called. Daemen, if I have that right. What do you think of the hire?
Different
Yeah,
than
different than Damone. What do you think of the hire, and will he be able to peacefully coexist with Woj?
I think that like Bonaventure is slowly just trying to turn their colors to be just gray. Like everything about St. Bonaventure is just gray. Like the weather's gray. They wear gray like they wear gray on the court. Their coaches' hair colors are all gray. Like you had Schmidt gray with balding. You got McDonald gray. It feels I don't know. It just feels boring up there, and I don't know. I don't know. It seems like an okay hire. Woj is the X factor here, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Gray
Yeah.
blends in with the landscape. But yeah, I don't know.
Hopefully they can just blend in and not be a bottom feeder.
I think the
So I
hot
guess
new
it's
thing.
yeah, I guess it's the hey, they're dressing for the job they want in gray.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that's the hot new thing though, to get a D2 coach who can build a program from Schertz to Olin to McCollum. We've seen 3 really succeed everywhere they've gone in D1 so far. So Bonaventure's trying to get that on a budget so they can spend a little bit more on that roster. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's a good hire.
We have a new A10 commissioner, Pete, and it's Dan Leibovitz.
Yeah.
And I think there's real positive response to this hire online.
Yeah, people around the A10 seem really excited by it. He's a guy. He's from A10 country, right? He's a Philly guy. Played back at Penn in the mid '90s. Coached a bit, Temple, Hartford, Penn, and then he was an NBA assistant before I think going to the Big East to be the senior associate commissioner. So the whole pedigree is something where that just makes sense up and down within the A10. The things that I took away from his press conference, Zach, so that was on I guess last Tuesday, almost a week ago as we speak. He wants to listen to A10 programs via needs assessment before making any big decisions. League schedules should be leveraged to create as many quad 1 and quad 2 chances for top teams. It may take time and not happen on day 1. He said the net allows you to schedule yourself out of the projected field, and we can't have that. So I think that's a good signal to some of the bottom half teams in our league. The purist in him says to stay at 64 NCAA bids, but expansion can help the A10. He says. And then he thinks the A10 tournament would be better served by having a permanent location in the long term, which I thought was pretty interesting, Zach. Do you want to read his quotes, and then maybe we can go through some of the ideas about what that location could be?
Sure. He said, I believe that wholeheartedly that it is to our advantage to plant a flag somewhere and grow roots and make it a tradition. If you think about coming from the Big East, you don't have to ask where the Big East is. You don't have to ask where the Big 12 is in Kansas City. The SEC is in Nashville. The Valley is in St. Louis. So I want to find that for us. And that's no disrespect to Bernadette. She's made the championship a tremendous event in big NBA buildings, etc. But I want to make sure we pause and make sure and figure out if that's the best thing for us. There can be advantages to big markets. There can be advantages to small markets when you think about college basketball. For example, when you say the word Omaha, immediately people know what you're talking about, the College World Series. So it can be a bigger city, a bigger or a small city, but I think we have to find our Omaha where everybody knows our fans, our players, our coaches, our stakeholders. God, why did you have to use that word? They know what a great event is going to be. I can't wait to book my tickets and get there. Um, I don't know, put it in a barn in the middle of like Amish country, Pennsylvania. Call it a day.
Well, Zach, I actually think if you wanted to be as fair as possible, that's pretty much what we'd be doing. I mapped the geographic center of the Atlantic 10 using the arena address for all 14 arenas, and it comes out to a census designated place called Avalton, Maryland. I don't know if Avalton is the right pronunciation, but I'm going to go with it. It's in Western Maryland, the westernmost county, Garrett County in the Panhandle, Mountain Maryland. The closest town is Frostburg, which is about 7,000 and has a D2 school there, Frostburg State. The closest town with a little more size is Cumberland, about 18,000 people. The closest city is Pittsburgh, 99 miles away. So when we have the A10 tournament in Pittsburgh, that's about as fair as it gets. DC and Baltimore are both about an hour and 43 minutes away. DC is about 6 miles closer, but usually has worse traffic. So those are two other cities that are pretty close. The closest Division I school to the A10's midpoint geographically is West Virginia, in Morgantown, West Virginia.
Not a bad idea.
No. So anyway, Zach, that's if we wanted to build a barn, we do have a spot in Maryland where we could do it that I think would be the fairest possible location.
I'm looking at, there's some interesting, did you Google map Avalton? Because there's some interesting, there's some interesting topography.
Yeah.
Like the it's like crop circles and shit.
It
looks like a golf course. Like the whole area looks like a golf course.
You're pretty deep into the Appalachian Mountains there.
Yeah.
So it's not the easiest place to get to.
There's a Burger King
nearby. Yeah.
See, okay, so here's what I would say. I actually saw an idea, and I think it's low key awesome. Put us in a resort somewhere.
Just isolate us, right? Like throw us on a
resort,
yeah.
So give me a ballroom with like, I mean, obviously it'd have to be a big ass ballroom, but like, let's get weird. Put us in like a big, I don't know. I don't even know what city it would be in that would have a resort.
There is a resort near Cumberland, and I'm forgetting what it's called.
But like, I mean, like, give me a place where it's, big enough to, I don't know. I really don't know. I think you get weird. I always
Rocky Gap Casino Resort and Golf on
beautiful.
The other side of Cumberland. So it'd be about 20 minutes away from the geographic.
Flintstone. It's from Flintstone. It's in Flintstone, Michigan.
So you could play the games.
I love it.
You could play the games at Frostburg State. I think the gym seats about 3,000, and then you could have everybody stay at the Rocky Gap Casino and Resort.
No. Oh shit.
There's a way to do it. There's a way that would be pretty fun.
This is sick. They don't have a ballroom, I don't think, though, which is going to be a problem.
No, we'd have to build an A10 specific arena.
Oh no.
Or just
that's fine. We can do that. That seems reasonable.
It's totally reasonable. Why not?
You can build your own arena.
But more realistic.
BYOA.
More realistically, I'm going to give you 9 locations, Zach. I want you to kind of tell me yes, no. Give me a pros, cons. What do you think of these spots? So going back to Brooklyn permanently.
I don't know. In New York City's very, like, in the heart of New York City is a little bit tough and expensive.
Easy to fly to, but it's expensive, and you're the second show in town after the Big East tournament.
Yes.
Right?
And a big arena, massive arena.
Huge arena. All right. What about Washington, D.C.?
Prohibitively expensive.
But again, that actually might be the cheapest city to fly to from, certainly from Cincinnati, St. Louis. It is one of the easiest to fly to. It is expensive. I will give you that. And I
The
saw
National Guard.
somebody made the point that in Pittsburgh it felt like we were the big event in town that weekend.
Yeah.
Although I would say the few hours that the St. Patrick's Day parade was going on, we were definitely second to that.
I mean,
But
you're
in
battling with St. Patrick, man. What do you want? Like, it's biblical shit.
in DC, you have no idea that the event's even going on.
Yeah.
Somebody made that point. All
Yeah, I
right,
agree.
Philadelphia.
The cons would be too close to LaSalle and St. Joe's, but I guess Pittsburgh's right next to Duquesne.
Hmm,
But I mean, I guess you have the like, if it was just LaSalle, like it wouldn't bother me. But like St. Joe's, that's giving them a little bit of a too much of a leg up. Like,
sure.
because like Duquesne, you can deal with in Pittsburgh. Because nobody in Pittsburgh cares about Duquesne,
Hmm.
apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Duquesne, SLU and Duquesne are kind of similar in just kind of like the vibes, for lack of a better word. Except SLU like is lucky to pull in the city's interest, whereas
Yeah.
Duquesne does not. Um, Atlantic City,
Atlantic City is so
I would
Philadelphia.
love to. Oh my
Philadelphia
god,
is
I had
what,
so
an
much
hour
fun there.
away? Yeah, yeah. So I never went to one of it's a great regret of mine is not going because
Yeah, I got
it
to
was
do
mostly
that.
before I had kids. So it was it's what, an hour away from Philly, a couple hours south of New York. So yeah, Atlantic City, I think they've got is it the MAC, the MAAC
Yeah,
tournament that's
yeah, yeah,
there.
yeah.
So I think that's what they're hosting now. So that would be the big kind of hurdle. You'd have to do it after whatever their contract is up with that. But everybody speaks kind of fondly and like you talk about the short lifespan of nostalgia now. Everybody is kind of nostalgic for Atlantic City, it seems
I
like.
want to
So
ride in one of those push carts again. I
yeah,
want to.
or stay in a smoky casino hotel room.
Hell yeah. The Hooters in the bottom of our hotel. Those,
Oh man.
um, Richmond, I mean, I don't want to go anywhere near where VCU is. That's
You've got
just,
Yeah, you've got two A10 schools there, right? So
yeah.
it'd be well attended. I think the biggest issue there is venue. They have a downtown arena that's vacant and rotting, and I
Well, you
don't.
play it there. That's just like the A10.
They just have to
Vacant
renovate.
and rotting.
They'd have to renovate a Brutalist arena from like the 60s that's just been
Oh,
left.
that would be amazing.
It's like just a big
What's it
concrete
called?
dome. I think it was just called Richmond
Richmond
Coliseum.
Coliseum.
Yeah. So Richmond is
Okay.
I think the city is like the perfect size for this kind of event because
Yeah.
there's enough hotels. It's not very expensive. There's
Oh
not a
man, that
lot
was
of
so 80s.
there's not direct flights if you're
Oh,
not in one of
70s,
the
sorry.
like the major East Coast cities would be a downside. You know, St. Louis, Dayton.
Yeah,
You're getting
I
any
just
direct flights
don't.
there?
I just don't. I don't know. I don't want to be anywhere near Richmond or VCU.
Yeah.
But that stadium is gorgeous in the most decrepit way possible.
Yeah.
I'm
All
gonna
right.
go
So
on YouTube later tonight, watch a video on the Richmond Coliseum. Book it.
I'm sure it's got some great lore. Okay, so then let's back to Pittsburgh. Would you
Yes,
root down there? Yeah.
yes. Thought it was great. I didn't get there, but if you loved it, I loved it, and that's all that matters.
I think it's perfect in a
I
lot of
trust
ways.
your judgment.
It's a really affordable city. I think it's easy for a lot of A10 fans to get to. Like we said, it's the closest city to the center geographically of the A10, the weighted center, right? So I'm not talking about like the between the endpoints or anything like that. It was a really good it's a great town, good place for the event. I thought it was good. So I would be fine with Pittsburgh. Here's one, Zach, that I kind of thought of that that is intriguing to me, and it's not the home to any A10 school. What about Baltimore?
I do love me some Baltimore.
So they have a downtown arena. It's a little
Yep.
smaller. It's
It's
only about
hold up. Farm not farm show. It's oh my god, Royal Farms Arena.
I think you're right, or it may have just been renamed because it was just renovated.
It was
Um,
Royal Farms Arena. I've been there.
it's I thought it was a bank now. CFG Bank Arena.
Okay. It's
So
where the Blast played forever.
yes. So I think they literally just renovated it in the last year or two. And so they just put a fresh name on it as well, CFG Bank, a bank I'm not really even familiar with. But it's right downtown,
Yes.
like 6 blocks from the Inner Harbor. It's like I said, renovated. It's not the size of like in Pittsburgh, they had a curtain around the upper deck
Yeah,
because
I
it's a
know.
big
It's you
NHL
would
arena.
it would be more like the Palestra kind of
Yeah,
vibe.
yeah. I mean,
It's more. It's got like concrete in the
mhm.
corners. It's very much up on
Yeah.
each side, up on each
It
side, and then
it
no.
has a
It's
lot
not a
more
bowl.
concerts. It's kind of like cut off at one end almost.
Yes.
So I think it would be a great venue, and then Baltimore is, I think, an easy flight or drive for just about the entire A10.
Yeah.
I think it's worth considering. Um,
You've also got Maryland Baltimore Counties Arena.
yeah, although I didn't
That's
look
too
at
little too small.
I didn't look at that, but yeah, anyway, Baltimore worth considering.
So the Baltimore Blast indoor soccer played at that CFPG whatever the hell
CFG
when it was
Bank.
Royal Farms Arena,
Okay.
and then they are now playing. Well, I guess while it was being renovated, they just permanently moved to the Baltimore County University of
Gotcha.
Arena. So.
So then the last two are a little more for fun.
Mhm.
Morgantown. Do you actually think we could do Morgantown?
Why
College Town.
not? Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you've got if it's not during the Big 12 tournament, you might
Yeah.
be able to like, get the West Virginians out
I'm trying to
to
so
watch the games.
their spring break is March 13th to 21st. So we would have it'd be right before spring break. It would so yeah, it wouldn't conflict with any games on campus because the season would be over by then. But hey, taking over a small town for the A10 tournament sounds really appealing. The other suggestion I saw somebody come up with was Hershey, Pennsylvania. They have a really like historic arena.
Yeah,
Actually, I saw some Olympic commercials were shot in that arena in Hershey, Pennsylvania. If you watch the Winter
home
Olympics,
of the Hershey Bears.
yeah, you probably saw. Yeah, there's there's been some classic. I think. Wait, if I'm not mistaken, is that the arena where Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points? I don't.
Yeah,
Okay, I might be
got
wrong on that.
me.
But anyway, historic arena, small town. Maybe not a whole lot to do in March, but the idea of taking over a small town is pretty fun,
I
Zach. But
agree.
if you had to come up with your top two or three picks, what would they be?
Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Atlantic City
I think you and
in
I,
varying orders.
I think you and I are in lockstep on those three. That would be my
Yeah.
top three as well.
I mean, I think it would be, I love the idea of a big city like Brooklyn, but it's just not walkable. Well, it's too walkable.
Yeah,
Like it's not, you can't traverse long distances easily. Whereas like, so it's going to cost you a lot to stay nearby.
right.
Whereas like a Baltimore or Pittsburgh are a little bit more kind of expanded out a little bit better, and
All right.
maybe you can stay a little bit further outside. And then Atlantic City, just uh, it's Atlantic City. It's an excuse to do stupid shit.
It's its own thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Pete, let's head over to the women's basketball side of things. Some news, some surprising news, some not maybe surprising news. Hannah Wallace, first of all, will be entering the transfer portal. She did leave the team indefinitely during the middle of the season. Like I said, not entirely a surprise. She is a sophomore out of Cardinal Ritter, a really nice player, and a bummer to lose a local kid.
Yeah. Not a whole lot more to add than that, Zach. I think the writing may have been on the wall when she just kind of mysteriously left the team midseason, and it was indefinite, right? May have come back, maybe not, but I was always leaning toward the probability that she'd be gone, unfortunately.
The more kind of surprising news, because I mean, Skim Milky was reporting, I guess, or rumoring that Alyssa Kirkenmeyer, the 6'6" A10 Rookie of the Year, may be entering the transfer portal. Turns out she's staying at SLU. Pete, this is huge for the program.
Huge, yes. Reported by Stu Durando today. Thanks, Stu, for giving us this good news. Now, Zach, it's time to build the roster around her, right? Because as far as I'm concerned, she's the only must in terms of retention from this year's roster. I think you could have a pretty strong team if you kept the other returners and found 5 portal players who are either starters or high rotation players. Kirkenmeyer being the centerpiece and then build around her, right? It's probably going to take a little NIL investment, not huge, but Tillett has to get this right. She has to get it right. This season might be her last chance, Zach, otherwise.
Let's head over to the Diamond, Pete. The Billikens started out the week with an 8-2 win against SIUE on Tuesday, the 24th. The Billikens led 3-2 in the 6th. Chase Beatty hit a grand slam to blow the game wide open. He led SLU with 3 hits, 5 RBIs. The Billikens threw 5 pitchers, but Lauren Georger pitched 3 middle innings, came away with the win. They dropped a 5-3 decision on Friday the 27th to George Mason, the first of a 3-game series. Down 5-1, the Billikens had 2 runs in the bottom of the 8th on solo shots from Austin Newigany and Blazier. The comeback fell short. 5-3 loss to George Mason on Saturday the 28th, Pete.
Yeah, this time it was tied 2-2 heading into the 9th when GMU put up 3 runs in the top of the inning and SLU could only answer with 1 more. Riley Ifrig led SLU with 3 hits and 2 RBIs, including a solo shot. And then they unfortunately got swept, lost to George Mason 3-1 on Sunday the 29th. SLU's only run came on a bases loaded walk. Noah Andrunas put in a quality start, but took the loss. Zach, they had an odd date Monday game.
Yeah, a Monday game, and it's certainly the box score certainly does not reflect a midweek game.
No.
This was a 3-2 pitchers duel for most of it. A win against Utah Tech, who, by the way, looked outstanding. Like their uniforms are gorgeous. They all were wearing stirrups, high socks.
All right.
Yeah,
Classic.
shout out to whoever keeps them in line, man. But Crew Bond hit a 2-run homer to cap a 3-run 5th inning. That started with, I believe, a legged out infield single and then a shot down the line. I can't remember exactly, but it was surprising to see the game, to see any home run in the game because the wind was wreaking havoc on fly balls the entire game. There were a couple times where there were sure pop outs to foul territory that just kept carrying out into over by the pond. Utah Tech did make it interesting with 2 runs in the top of the 8th, but the rally fell short, and the game finished on an unbelievable catch by Ahmad Duff, center fielder, who, by the way, is 5'5". He came up to the plate late in the game, and I wasn't paying attention. And I look over, and we already have a short team, and my jaw dropped.
Yeah, okay. He's the guy from Alabama. I remember when he was announced as a transfer. He's from Indianapolis, but went to Alabama, and I remember thinking like, oh, he's got to be an unreal player to watch, like a fun player to watch, because he's 5'5", and he didn't get enough run at an SEC school, but I bet he's a blast.
Oh yeah, I mean, this kid it was an awesome catch. There were some really good plays in this game. But next up, they will head to St. Joe's for a 3-game weekend series. Softball, they started off the week with a 1-0 loss at Lindenwood on Wednesday the 25th. Scoreless heading to the bottom of the 7th. Isabel Royal beamed a Lindenwood batter with the bases loaded. SLU was held to just a single hit in this game. Contrast that with a 4-0 win against Rhode Island Saturday 28th in game 1 of the series. Anna Christ threw a complete game shutout, giving up just 3 hits and 2 walks, striking out 5. All 4 of SLU runs came in the 4th inning with some small ball, 5 singles, 2 walks, a stolen base, and a throwing error. Pete, they rallied on Saturday, but they came up short.
Yeah, it went to 8 innings, but ultimately 6-4 was the loss on game 2. Tied 3-3 after 7. The Rams scored 3 in the top of the 8th. SLU could only get 1 back in the bottom of the inning. for the loss. And then Rhode Island took the series on Sunday the 29th with a 3-2 win for the Rams. Abby Olsis went 3 of 4, the only SLU player who had multiple hits in both games. Both of the losses, I should say, against Rhode Island. But Rhodey rallied from a 2-1 deficit to take the game and the series. Next up, softball will play a one-off at SIUE on Wednesday, and then Fordham visits for a 3-game weekend series. Zach, it was already senior day for the women's and men's tennis programs this weekend.
Yeah, the Billikens defeated the women's tennis team defeated Maryville Sunday the 29th on senior day. Fiorella Duran was the only senior, but it looks like Elizabeth Choate and Nicole Ferreira were also honored, both 4-year players who might just be moving on. The Billikens got singles wins from Emerson White, Duran, Madison Hill, Naima Luthra, and Choate. They'll head to New Mexico State on Friday, April 10th, and finish the regular season at Lindenwood on Sunday the 12th. Men's tennis, 4-3 loss against Maryville, Sunday the 29th. Declan Townsend, Valentin Velasquez, Luca Leonardo, and Andres Castellanos were on after senior day. We've said their names a lot over the years, so this team is going to look a lot different going forward. The Billikens swept the doubles match for that point, but only Townsend and Castellanos pulled out singles victories. So the Bills came up short of the overall win. They'll head up to Philadelphia to take on St. Joe's and George Mason on April 2nd and 3rd. Pete, track and field.
Yeah, they had a busy weekend. It started out with the WashU Distance Carnival. They only sent a few runners over there. This was on Thursday, the 26th. Clara Gillen set a new program record in the 3K steeplechase, running 10:50:20 and breaking teammate Emily Morden's record. And then they hosted 2 events. The SLU Speed and Power Festival was on Friday, the 27th. Tristan Boatman got 2 new program records, throwing 60.17 meters in the hammer to beat his own record, and then he threw 16.10 meters in the shot put to beat Diego Collado's record from 2023. At the Billiken Invitational on Saturday the 28th, Sam Lamaze broke his own record in the 400 meters yet again. I think that's the 3rd or 4th time this season, this time running 46.89 to break his previous record that stood for just 1 week. He is a machine this year, Zach. Next up, they go to Indiana State for the Pace Setter Sports Invitational on April 3rd and 4th.
If you're still listening to this, Stu Durando is on with Father
Harry.
Father Harry, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's doing a podcast with him. Yeah. That's it. Pete, roll Bills.
Roll Bills.